So once again, good afternoon and thank you for joining us today. I'm Amit, your host today. As you know that we conduct webinar monthly basis on Zoho Books topics, and our today's topic is simplify your account receivable. So before that, we will see, that where we are hosting this today's webinar. So this is Zoho in-house application, that is Trainer Central. This meeting will be recorded, the session will be recorded, and post the session, you will get the recording as well. For all the attendees, camera and mic will be off. In case if you have any question, you can type your questions or your queries under the question tab. You can find the question tab in left side. You can see there, whatever you having any question related to Zoho Books or related to any product, you can just type your queries there. We are here to help you on that. In case if you are not getting our voice, or in case if you are not able to see the screen got stuck, in that case, what I suggest you can refresh the page once. Still if you are not able to see, in that case you can intimate us, you can post, you can just intimate us using the chat option. Again, the chat option, it is available in the left side. So without further delay, we have Priya today. So I'm just handing over this session to Priya, so she will walk through you all with the whatever we have the topic that simplify your account receivable. So over to you, Priya.
Hello all, a very good afternoon, and I would like to thank you all for joining this session today. I'm Priyadarshini from the Zoho Books team, and in today's session, we shall understand how you can manage your receivables effectively with Zoho Books. So Zoho Books has various modules to streamline the entire accounts receivable process. So let us understand the various modules and how you can automate the various functionalities with Zoho Books. Before we start this session, let me quickly run you through the agenda for the day. First, we will understand what accounts receivable is all about and how Zoho Books manages these. Then we will move into the sales cycle which we have in Zoho Books, how the data flow happens between the various modules, and finally you can record the payments. Zoho Books, being a generic application, offers you a lot of customization options. So we will also understand the various customization capabilities available with the accounts receivable part. And then as your business expands, you could have multiple people in your organization for making of data, to key in the data and for other things, right? So in those cases, a maker and checker becomes essential. So let's understand what options we have here in Zoho Books to ensure that the transactions sent have almost zero error. And then we will also talk about the various automation features which are available in the product. So how you can configure workflows and set out triggers which based on your requirements. Finally, we will understand how you can see the various receivable reports which are available in the product, viewing your cumulative transactions or viewing the receivables relevant to each customer. So we shall understand about the reports which are available for the receivables, and finally wind up with a question and answer session. So what is accounts receivable? This term might sound very familiar to you all. You would be using it on a day-to-day basis. So accounts receivable is nothing but, for any business, income becomes mandatory, right? So for that, you will be selling out your goods or services to your customers. In those cases, once you have sold your goods or rendered the services, and if the customer is yet to pay for the collected goods or services, it is called accounts receivable. In Zoho Books, we handle this accounts receivable right from creation of transactions to payment collection. Let me quickly run you through the sales cycle what we have in Zoho Books. So you have your quote to cash cycle. So first you would be creating quotes which are nothing but the proposals, and then converting it to a sales order once the quote is accepted by your customer. Then once the sales order is also accepted, then we convert it to the final sales document called invoices, and then you collect the payments via payments received. And in case of any return of products, or if you offer any post-sale discount, you create a credit note. So this is how the sales cycle is managed. So let me quickly run through the product for you. The first and foremost step to enable all the modules in your Zoho Books is under settings. So under settings and preferences, you will find the various modules available in Zoho Books. So you can just enable whichever module you require, right from your bill of supply to recurring invoices, and save it. Also, you can choose to enable the other preferences, like say for instance, if you would like to send over an attachment whenever you're sending an email to your customer and encrypt it, and if your business involves in giving of any discounts, you can also choose to give them for each line item involved in the transaction, or for the entire invoice at once at transaction level. These discounts can also be chosen as inclusive of tax or exclusive of tax. And if you have any additional charges for your business, like say for instance you would like to add some shipping charges or make some any minor adjustments using the adjustments tab, you can enable them as well. Instead of manually adjusting, you can also choose to round off your sales transactions. So this will round off the values to the nearest integer. And you can also choose to sell your rates at prices inclusive or exclusive of tax, which means if your item prices say 100 rupees, if the rates are inclusive, the total value remains 100. Whereas if it is tax exclusive, the tax rate will be applied above the item rate. And also, if you have multiple salesperson involved in your organization, you can choose to add a field for them in order to track their efficiency and the sale they have done over a period. So these are the other preferences which you would be enabling, and once this is done, you can start creating your transactions. In addition to these general preferences, we also have preferences relevant to each of the modules. So let me talk about it once we delve into each of these modules. The first and foremost step for the account receivable process is creation of your customers. So first you should create a customer in Zoho Books. Customer are basically people with whom you have business, to whom you sell out your goods or services. The basic information would be required like the contact name, the company name, the display name, etc. The email address and phone number will also be asked, and then the various communication channels through which you will be communicating to the customer via email, SMS or WhatsApp. If you are a GST registered business, then the GST related fields gets popped up in each of the module. In customers, you will find the GST treatment. You can select the relevant GST treatment for your customer, and then based on that the other fields are popped up. If they are a registered business, the GST IN becomes mandatory. Based on the GST IN, the other details like your place of supply, PAN number, all of these gets automatically updated. And you can choose the tax preference if you would like to create transactions which are taxable for this customer or not, and the default currency. So if you are dealing with transactions within India, the sales within India, it could be INR, your base currency, or if you are dealing with any exports, in those cases the currency would be different. So here you can choose the required currency for the customer, and whatever currency you have chosen here, in this currency only the transactions would be created despite your base currency. And you can choose the payment terms on how many days the customer will make the payment for you, and if associate any price list if any. And you can also choose to associate a customer owner. So let's assume that you have multiple salesperson involved in your business and you would like to assign certain customers to a particular salesperson. In those cases, you can assign him as the customer owner so that they will be able to view the transactions relevant to this particular customer only and not the other customers. And there's something here called portal language. So I will explain about this portal a little later. So to give you a little heads up, a customer portal will be created, wherein the customer can view their transactions and download their statements. So the language for the portal will be selected, and if there are any other documents, you can choose the same. In addition to this, you can update your customers' addresses, contact persons, and you can create custom fields. So as I was telling you earlier, we have a lot of customization options available. So these are the default fields which are available in the product. In addition to this, if you have any other field requirements according to your business needs, you can create them under the module preferences. Just head to settings, and under preferences you have customers and vendors, and under field customization you will be able to create a new custom field. You can give the label name and you can give the data type as required. A number of data types are available, right from text box to even creating a formula. So you can use these data types for your business according to your requirement. Also, we have the option of creating reporting tags. So reporting tags are nothing but the various verticals which are involved in your business. So let's assume that you have multiple departments and you would like to track your sale and purchase and your expenses based on these departments. In those cases, you can create a reporting tag under settings and reporting tags and give out the various options. So once this reporting tag is created, you will be able to allocate these reporting tags across the various modules, right from your items to customers, sales and purchase transactions. so that finally when you view your profit and loss or balance sheet, you will be able to customize or compare it based on the reporting tags. And finally, if you have any internal remarks which you would like to communicate it to the other users, you can just give it in the remarks section. Once a customer is created, and when you click on the particular customer, a dashboard gets displayed. So this dashboard gives you an overall idea what the customer profile looks like. So from here you will be able to see what is the email address, and if there's any billing or shipping address, you can also add additional addresses here. And what is the tax preference, if the portal status is enabled or not. What are the outstanding receivables for this particular client, and also the unused credits. So this dashboard gives us an overall picture of how the receivables for this customer looks like, and there are various other options as well if you would like to add a comment, or the various transactions you have created, the mails and messages which you have sent over to this client, and also the most important part, the customer statements. The consolidated business done for this particular customer till now can be viewed as a statement. Just like how you view the customer data in a single window, like using this particular tab, customers also have an option to view their data. So we have created you a portal called customer portal. So this is a collaboration portal wherein once enabled, customer will be able to log in using their email address, and they can create a own password. So here they will be able to get an idea of what their transactions with you look like. So once they log in, the available credits, how much balance they'll have to pay, and also what are the various transactions you have created, all these gets displayed. And also they can just check which of the pending approvals are there, and what are their details. They can choose to update their details here as well. In case of any change in their address or say GST information, instead of them reaching out to you and you getting it updated manually, they can simply update it in the portal, and it will be updated in your Zoho Books organization as well. And this enhances the communication between your clients. Like say for example, if you are sending out any estimates or quotations to your customers, in those cases customer might feel the prices are a little high and would like to negotiate with you. But here in these cases what happens is they would send an email or send you a message which could get lost over a trial of emails sent. Instead of that, if you enable this customer portal, they can simply add a comment here, and it will be automatically displayed in your Zoho Books organization. So based on that, you can just close the deal then and there. This customer portal has a lot of other options as well, like viewing their transactions to even downloading the statements. Customers may reach out to us periodically to get the statement, right? Statement of accounts. So instead of them reaching out to you, they can directly download it for the required time period, and they can filter it by even the outstanding transactions. So now we have seen how you can create a customer in Zoho Books. The next step is to create a quote. Quote is nothing but a proposal which you send across to your customer with the list of items you have along with the prices. So to create a quote, you can just select the customer name. Based on the customer name chosen, the other details like the place of supply gets automatically filled. The quotation number and the date gets populated, and also you can choose an expiry date as though till when this particular estimate will be valid. You can also add a salesperson if any, and select a project name. Now you can choose the item details, apply the required taxes, enter the quantity, rate, etc. And in case of goods, if there are any shipping charges, you can choose to apply the same. And you can also select the TDS and TCS required. So TDS is nothing but the tax deducted at source. If your customer is going to deduct any taxes, you can choose the TDS which the customer is going to deduct, and there are a number of TDS percentages displayed here by default. If you would like to create a new TDS tax rate, you can create them under manage TDS. Similarly, TCS is the tax collected at source. So if you would like to collect any taxes from your customer, in those cases you can click on manage TCS and create a new TCS tax and apply it accordingly. Finally, you can also automatically create a retainer invoice for this quote. So let's assume that I have created a quote for 11,800 rupees. When the customer accepts this quote, I can choose to collect an advance payment from the customer just to confirm that this person is going to be purchasing from me. So retainer invoices are created for the purpose of collecting the advance payments. So when the customer accepts this particular quote, I can choose to create a retainer invoice automatically for some percentage of this estimate value. and I can also get the payment collected automatically via the payment gateway integrations possible. So Zoho Books integrates with various payment gateways like Razorpay, Stripe, Paytm, PayPal, and Verifone, etc. So if you have account in any of these payment gateways, you can just integrate them in Zoho Books. So this embeds a payment link in your retainer invoices or invoices, and the customer can just click on the link and make the payment. So right now I'm just creating this code. And once this code is created, you can either send the code directly or you can just mark it as sent. Now the code is sent, and if the customer has accepted the code, automatically the retainer invoice for this code will be created. So now the code is accepted. Now when I go to retainer invoices, you can see the retainer invoice for 10% of the particular code value is automatically created. You can also choose to create the invoice automatically as and when the code is accepted. So for that, you need to enable the preference. Go to settings, under sales and codes, you will find an option to automatically convert an accepted code to invoice. So once the customer accepts a code, if you would like to automatically convert it to an invoice, you can do that as well. You need to just enable the preference from here. And there are a lot of other options, like you can allow editing of the accepted code, and you can send the codes via a public link. Also, you can choose to take the field value which is already available in codes when you create an invoice. All these can be done. And as we discussed already, we have various field customization options. So one such custom field is the formula custom field. You can also create a formula custom field based on your requirement. So here the various options would be given, like what are the fields available in the code, and the operators and the functions will be given. So you can choose the operators, functions, you can generate a formula, and you can check the syntax. You can choose to update this in your codes, and whenever the code is created, the formula field will be displayed, and when you save it, the value will be displayed in the PDF. And there are other options like validation rule, custom buttons, and related list. So we will learn more about this in the upcoming modules. So now the code has been generated and you have sent it across to your customer, and the customer has also accepted it. The next step is to convert this code either into an invoice or a sales order. So depending on your business process, you can choose to convert it to an invoice directly or convert it to a sales order. So when you click on convert to sales order, so I'm just marking this as accepted. So once the code is accepted, I'm just converting it to a sales order. So in the sales order, all the details are automatically fetched from the code and it is populated. Here, in case of any other details you require, like the expected shipment date, you can just update it. And if you have created any custom fields, you can just select the values for the custom fields as well. And you can simply click save. Now, the sales order is created, and once the customer confirms it, you can mark it as confirmed. Here you might also view there are other statuses which are there here in the sales order, like instead of confirmed, closed, and draft, you can also see a little other statuses available. So in your sales orders, you can choose to customize the various status options. So under settings, go to sales orders. You have something here called custom status. So you can configure a status of your own in order to track the sales orders status exactly. So what you'll have to do here is, when you create a new custom status, you can create the custom status for all of these three predefined statuses and update a status name and give a label color. So whenever the particular sales order is in the default status, now it is confirmed. So when I click on it, I can choose to either mark it as either of these three, either of these four, and save. So at any point of time, I will know where exactly my sales order is in or in which team it is pending with. And then I can proceed accordingly. Finally, once the sales order is accepted by the customer, I can choose to create an instant invoice. So if the details are all correct and valid, you can simply create an invoice directly. So in clicking on instant invoice will just create an invoice and save it automatically. Or if you would like to review the details again, you can click on convert to invoice. So once you click on convert to invoice, again the details which are available in the sales order will be fetched here. and all the information will be available. If you would like to add any other details, you can just add them and save. So one more option you have noted is whenever I created the invoice for this particular customer, if there are any other pending sales orders, it would also be displayed in the end. Let me show you. So I will create an invoice for this customer, and if there are any other so let me quickly show you. So whenever I edit the particular invoice and see, I will be able to view the pending sales orders as well. So here you can see sales orders are in confirmed status which are yet to be invoiced. So these will also be included. You can choose to add them in the same invoice or individual invoices. And you can also see there is an open delivery challan. So when do you create delivery challans is basically whenever you involve transportation of goods from one place to another, you can create a delivery challan in order to know if the product has been delivered or not to your customer. So the final step of all this is creation of an invoice. You can either choose to convert a quote to an invoice directly, or from quote to sales order and then to invoice, or from a delivery challan also you can directly create an invoice. So once the invoice is created, the next important step is to send it across to your customer. But one more validation check comes here before you send the invoice to your customer. If your business turnover is greater than 5 crores per annum, so which is nothing but the e-invoicing. Zoho, being a registered GSP, helps you to push your transactions to the IRP portal directly from Zoho Books. So you just need to enable the e-invoicing, and you need to register Zoho Corporation as your GSP in the e-invoicing portal. Once it is done, you will be able to push the transactions from Zoho Books directly to the IRP portal. And similarly, you can also generate your e-way bill details from here. If you have created the e-way bill from the portal directly, you can associate the e-way bill number. Or if you would like to create a new e-way bill from Zoho Books itself, you can create it from here. So both your e-invoices and e-way bills can be generated directly from the Zoho Books. And now you can send across this invoice to your customer via various methods of communication. So you can send an email, or you can send a WhatsApp message, or you can even schedule an email to your customer. So whatever invoices you send to your customers holds your face value of your organization, right? So Zoho Books offers you customizable templates which are available. So go to settings, under customizations you find PDF templates. We have around 18 templates for invoices which can be customized, and each of the template is unique in nature. So you can choose the template as per your business requirement and then send it across to your customer. So we have understood about the various modules which are available. So the final accounts receivable process would be invoices. Then you need to collect the payment from your customers, right? So to collect the payment from your customers, if you would like to send out periodic reminders, that can also be done from Zoho Books itself. So you can configure your reminders under settings and reminders. So here you can choose to set out a reminder based on the expected payment date or based on the due date. So you can set out a reminder, you can send the email to your customers and CC you as well if you need a record of it. And the content is displayed. This is also customizable. This is the default template which is available. If you would like to customize it, you can just put in your required data and save it. So based on this condition set, a reminder will be automatically triggered to your customers. And as discussed already, on the payment collection front, we offer integration with various payment gateways. So when you're creating an invoice itself, it will ask you if you would like to collect the payment, and you can check the option. We offer integration with Razorpay, Stripe, Paytm, etc. So if you have account with any of these payment gateways, just integrate them with Zoho Books, and once it is done, the payment links gets embedded automatically in the invoice which you send. So this is the payment option. So when customer clicks on it, he will be redirected to the payment gateway, and they can simply make the payment from there. And once the payment is successful, it gets reflected as paid automatically here in Zoho Books. You can also choose to record the payment manually as and when you create a transaction. Say for instance, if you have created an invoice and the customer has done the payment via cash, or he has done via any other method, you can just record the payment from here. You can select the relevant details like the amount received, the bank charges, and also if there's a TDS deduction, you can just mention it here as well. The payment date and the deposit to account, and save it. So finally, you have created an invoice and collected the payment from the customer also. So all these payment collected would be displayed in the payments received module. And if you have collected any customer advance, instead of sending out the retainer invoices, you can record it as customer advance also. Whatever retainer invoices you have created will be used to collect your customer advances. In addition to it, if you have collected any ad hoc payments without any retainer invoices, just record them under customer advance. So these will be tracked in the unearned revenue account by default. So you can also see that there is a credit note module which is there. You might wonder what a credit note is. So you have done a sale to your customer, and in case if there is a sale return, so customer is returning the goods because of some issue, or they would like a replacement or any other, or if you are giving a post sales discount, in those cases you can create a credit note. You can choose to create the credit note from here or from the invoice directly. So when you go to the particular invoice, click on it, you have an option to create a credit note. So you can choose to create a credit note automatically from here also. This will populate the details. So in case of a post-sale discount, you need not create it from here because the customer is not going to be returning your item, right? Only if the customer is returning your item, you can create it directly from the invoice. In case of any discounts you're offering, just go to credit notes and create it from here. So in addition to credit notes, you can also create debit notes. So you might wonder what these debit notes are. In case of any, say, correction in your invoices, let's assume your invoice was supposed to be raised for 10,000 rupees, but by mistake you have raised it as 9,500. To collect the remaining 500 as your receivable, you need to create a new debit note. So here the template creation, like the transaction creation, remains similar to that of an invoice, but you will not be able to. So the transaction creation remains very similar to that of an invoice, and you will be able to create and collect the payment from your customer. So now we have understood about the various transactions which are available. In addition to these transactions, if you are exporting your goods to another country, you need to create one more document, which is nothing but the shipping bill. In addition to your invoices, you should also create a shipping bill. So whenever you create an overseas transaction, when you click on the three dots, you will be able to find an option called create shipping bill. Just click on it to enter your shipping bill details like the shipping bill number, port code, the custom duty and additional charges you have incurred along with the taxes. We have almost completed the accounts receivable process available here. There are a little bit of modules available. Let's understand what are those. So first one is the payment link. So payment link is used to collect any ad hoc payments from your customers. So it's not like an advance or not like any invoice payment, but it is any miscellaneous payment you would like to collect from your customer. So you can just select the customer name based on which the other details are populated, enter the value and select the tax if there is any, and if there is a description, you can just you need to enter the description as well. And you can generate the link. So once this link is generated, you can share it across to your customer and they can just immediately make the payment. So for generation of payment link, at least one payment gateway integration becomes mandatory. So you will have to integrate any one payment gateway at least in your Zoho Books organization. And next we have recurring invoices. So recurring invoices are the profiles which you create for sales which you have on a periodical basis. Now let us assume that you receive rent from your customer on a periodic basis, on a monthly basis. Now instead of sending out invoices every month for the same value, you can just create a recurring profile. So here on this recurring profile, it will ask you for the period in which you would like to create when it has to be repeated, and if it's either an invoice or a bill of supply. So I'll explain about the bill of supply now a little later. Then you can enter the start date and ends on date, and if you do not know when the cycle would end, you can simply give it as never expires. The other details can be given, like the item details and also the adjustment, shipping charges. All of this can be entered. Once the profile is created, the child invoices will be generated on the specific period. You can also see the next invoice here in this tab. And when the cycle expires, you can simply click on more and click stop. So the cycle will be stopped and no further invoices would be generated. And for these recurring invoices, payment also becomes mandatory, right? You can choose to collect the payment also automatically. So for that, you can just go to settings. Under sales, you have recurring invoices. So when the child invoice is created, you can choose to create them as draft, or you can send it also to your customer. And you can also create, charge and send invoices. So automatically the payment can be collected using your customer's cards. So for that, you can enable this option, and you can also choose to send a payment success. Whenever there is when the payment is successfully received, a notification can be sent across to your customer, and in case of any payment failure, you can also send a notification to them accordingly. So now we understood about the various modules which are available. Now you might have sometimes you might have walk-in customers who come, right? So in those cases, you might not even collect the customer details. So how would you create an invoice there? Because in the manual invoice creation process, in the tax invoice creation process, the customer details become mandatory. So to help you with your counter sales or walk-in customers, we have retail invoices. So you can create a retail invoice wherein the customer details are not mandatory. You can simply enter the item names, and if you have received the cash, you can just check I have received the payment and hit save. So the invoice and the payment would be recorded in a single go. And if you do not have any GST implication in your invoice which you send, you can create a bill of supply instead of an invoice. The creation remains the same, but you will not be able to apply any taxes. The field for tax will not be available in a bill of supply. So we understood about the entire quote to cash cycle in Zoho Books and what are the various automations which are available. Next, and we also spoke about the number of customization options. So just to give you an overview again, let me quickly tell you what are the various customization options available. Let me go to invoices. So here we have the field customization option, wherein you can create custom fields based on your business requirements, or you can create custom fields to trigger a workflow. So we will talk about the automation part. So in order to create any of them, you can just create a custom field and select the required data type. And you can set out validation rules. So in case of any transactions, if predated transactions you create, or if you would like to validate a particular transaction and restrict its creation, you can very well create a validation rule. So whenever a transaction is created, it will be validated based on the conditions you set here, and if it doesn't pass the criteria, the creation of the transaction would be restricted. You can create validation rules for that. And in case of any specific function to be happen in the particular module, you can achieve it with the help of custom buttons. So you should write a piece of Delude script for creating a custom button. So if you need any assistance regarding the custom button, please feel free to reach us out. So related list will help you get information from various applications which you have, not just from Zoho Books but also from outside of Zoho Books. You can use related list for that feature. So in addition to that, we also have custom views which are available. So for example, in your customers, if you would like to view all the active customers, you can simply click on this view and view it. You can also create a new custom view based on your preference. If you would like to set out a condition and view those particular customers only. For example, if the GST treatment is registered, I would like to view all the GST business registered customers only. I can just choose them and create a view, so that I will be able to understand how many registered customers or how many B2B business I currently have. So these custom views are available for across all the modules. So from your customers to quotes, invoices, etc., all of this can be created. So next, let us talk about the maker checker process which is available. As your business expands, you would have a lot of people involved in your business. So you would have various salespersons getting involved, or for data entry you would have multiple people getting involved. In those cases, you would require a checker in order to ensure the invoices sent out to your customers are error free. So Zoho Books offers you two kinds of approval in this front. One is the single or multiple approval. So here you can select multiple approvers in your organization. So when any one of the approver approves the transaction, it will be cleared and it can be sent across to your customer. And if you would like to set a hierarchy of approvals, you can choose the multi-level approvals, wherein you can set out various levels like level 1, level 2, level 3, and various approvers can be selected. So the transaction will get passed through systematically from level 1 to the last level of approvers. So first the level 1 approver has to approve, and then the level 2, and so on. So next, let's talk about the automation features which are available. So we understood how a quote can be seamlessly created into an invoice automatically, or you can even automatically create a return invoice directly when the quote is accepted. So these are the default flows which are available in the product. In addition to this, if you have any other requirements, like say for example, if in your business, if the customer is not making the payment within the due date, there is a late fee which you will be collecting. So this is not a default flow available in the product, but you can even customize it. Similarly, you have multiple salespersons involved, and based on the sales they bring to you, you give them some percentage as a commission. So in those cases, to automate these calculations, we have various custom functions and also workflows which come into picture. Let me show you. So under settings and automations, you can configure workflow rules based on your preference. Now let's take the example of this particular late fee. So this workflow is created in order to collect late fee from my customers if they are not making the payment within the due date. So this will be triggered when it has crossed the due date and the status is not paid. So I have written a custom function in order to calculate the late fee and create a debit note for the customer. So we have various workflow actions which can be triggered based on the workflow rule. It could simply be an email alert or an in-app notification for your internal organization users, any field updates you would like to do, or write a custom function. So here in this case, a late fee custom code is written. So again, you should write a bit of a dilute script for the performing this particular action, and if you have any requirements from your end, you can please let us know. We'll be there to help you. And the most frequently used custom functions will also be displayed here in this forum. So when you go to custom functions, you can just view our examples from here. So this forum contains the various custom functions which we have written for customers on a periodical basis, which is most requested. So if your requirement suits with any of these custom functions, you can readily implement them in your organization. And there's also one other custom function which is written to update the commission. So my salesperson has done a sale and I would like to give a certain percentage of the invoice value as a commission to them. So let me quickly show you how these two work. I'll create an invoice, and since the overdue has to be applied, I'm just creating a backdated entry, and I would like to collect a late fee in this invoice. So I'm just ticking this box, and I would like to give a 5% commission to my salesperson also. Just saving it. Now, when this particular invoice is sent to your customer, the workflow actions get triggered in the back end. So the workflow get triggered and it will be available in the comments in history. So now this invoice is overdue, and when I record the payment, automatically the salesperson commission will be calculated and it will be created as an expense. So all of this will be available in the comments in history section. Let me quickly show you. So whatever workflows or custom fields you have created will be available in the comments in history section. And the expense amount is also calculated for my salesperson based on the workflow I created. The 5% of the invoice total has been created as an expense amount. And if you would like to send out if you would like to send out your customer statements on a periodical basis automatically, you can create schedulers. So schedulers are functions which run on a periodical basis, and it automates a function based on the same. So here you can select the frequency, the start date and start time, and the number of executions. Again, here you will have to write a dilute script in order to automate it. So here I am automating my customer statement weekly to my customers based on the scheduler. So next, let us understand about the various reports available for the receivable. So for any business, the financial health will be reflected on your business on your reports only. So for the receivables also, we have individual set of reports which are available. Zoho Books offers you 75 plus insightful reports across various heads which can be customized according to your requirements. So all these reports are dynamic and can be used to view the data up to date as in when you create transactions in Zoho Books. So in the receivables front, we have multiple reports ranging from your transaction reports to even viewing your balances. So if you have created multiple invoices over a period of time or multiple codes, if you would like to view that in a single space, you can just go to invoice details report to view all the invoices. So here you can select the date range and you can select the report either by the invoice date or the due date. And if you would like to filter out these based on certain criteria, like based on your status or say your customer name, you can very well do it using more filters. Also, you can choose to group the invoices by various criteria. If you would like to view all the invoices created for a single day one by one, you can group it by invoice date or by customer name or any other options you have here. Also, you can choose to display the various columns you require. So these are the columns which are currently available in the report. If you would like to add any other columns here, like the tax amount or the reverse charge tax amount, any of these can be selected and added to the report and it can be run. So all these reports can be exported in these formats, and you can choose to share it across with your users. So you might have multiple users in your organization who might not have access to all the modules. So if you would like to share this specific report to any of the user, you can just share them along with the required permissions. Next, we have scheduling of reports. So you might need to send the reports out on a timely frequency to the users of your organization or even the stakeholders who might or might not be a part of your Zoho Books organization. In those cases, you can schedule the report, you can select the frequency, the start date and the time. And if the user is a part of your organization, you can choose them from the email recipients. Or if they are not a part of your Zoho Books organization, simply type in their email address and select the format and save. So based on this scheduled frequency, this report will be automatically scheduled to your users or the other people who have entered in the additional recipients. So similar to that of invoices, we have other reports like your code reports, like your code invoice details, return invoice, sales order or the code details. So delivery challan, all these will display the specific module related transactions. And the receivable details and receivable summary report gives you even a little more detailed analysis of all the entire receivables. So receivable summary will help you understand the various transactions you have created, that is your invoices and credit note entities together. And you can also customize it based on a number of categories based on your invoices or credit note or even contact based fields. Also, the receivable details report gives us even more analysis, a detailed analysis based on the items you have included. So each item would be treated as an individual row, and you can customize this report based on the various filters available, like based on your reports, or say branches, invoices, and even items. And in order to understand if you are receiving your payments within time, or if the payment receiving frequency is within the correct range, you can always check the aging summary and the aging details report. Here you will understand at what days, in how many days the customer is making the payment. So you will be able to send out periodic reminders in order to collect the payment efficiently from them. And finally, there is customer balance summary report. So one point I would like to let you know is Zoho Books does not create individual ledgers for each of your customers. We just cumulatively track all the receivables under accounts receivable. So if you would like to view the individual customer balances, you can just view them in the customer balance summary report. So here the total invoiced amount, the total amount received, and the closing balance is displayed. So if you would like to compare your accounts receivable value with the individual customer balances, just click on customize report column, and you have a column here called receivable amount. So this receivable amount will match exactly with the accounts receivable value. You can compare this with your accounts receivable in your balance sheet or trial balance. Similarly, if you have received any advance payment from your customers and you would like to compare your unearned revenue account with individual balances, you can just add the unused advance payment field. So this unused advance payment field will match exactly with your customer advance tracking account. Other than that, we have reports like payments received, wherein you will be able to understand the time to get paid and the credit note, and also if you have refunded any credit notes. And finally, you have reports relevant to your recurring invoices. So what are the recurring profiles you have created, and in case of any payment failures and retries, and also the card expiry. So you can just check this report and see if there are any cards which are about to expire for your customers, and notify them in prior so that the cycle does not get collapsed. So with this, we come to the end of the session. So let me give you a quick recap of what we saw in today's session. We understood about the accounts receivable process in Zoho Books and how Zoho Books manages the accounts receivable. And we explained about the various code to cash cycle and the various automation and customization options available there. And we also understood about how approvals can be set in Zoho Books, and what are the various automation capabilities which can be configured according to your preference. Finally, we understood about the various reports and the customization options which are available, and how you can compare the different reports. So thank you so much for being patient with me. So if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the questions tab. We will be taking up the questions shortly. So we have a question here. I would like to link an expense ledger instead of sales account for a particular item. Can I automate it? So here in Zoho Books, you will be able to select the required account whenever you're creating a transaction. By default, the item's sale account would be picked, but if you would like to change it, you can very well do it. So let me select an item here. And for the additional information, just click on these 3 dots and click on show additional information. By default, the sales account would be picked up, and if you would like to select any other account like your expense account, you can just choose it from here and enter. And here there are other options as well, wherein you can select the project or even associate reporting tags. Or if it is a billable expense which you have incurred, like say for example, it is actually not your expense, but you are incurring it on behalf of your customer, and later you would be reimbursing it from them. In those cases, you can directly record it as an expense and you can mark them as billable. So here you will find the customer name and you can simply mark them as billable. So as and when you create an invoice for this customer, it will show there are some unbilled expenses, and you can add them. So in these cases, whatever expense account you select here will be automatically selected in the invoice as well. So next we have another question, how to export the sales register in Excel format. So as I discussed earlier, we have a number of reports under receivable section which you can export. So if you would like to view the transactions in a single line instead of the item details, you can export the invoice details report. Select the required time period you want to export this and click on export. So we have the XLSX and XLS format, and you can export them. Or if you need the transactions along with the details of your items as well, each item you have associated in the transaction, you can export the receivable details report. So this will give you an even more detailed overview of all the transaction, all the items you have associated and their individual prices. Again, this can be exported in the required format. So we have another question. Can we set controls in books for customers with high credit? Controls like no more invoices can be created as such. Yes, there is a concept of credit limit. So this preference has to be enabled under customers. So go to settings, under preferences customers. So you have an option to enable the credit limit, and you can either choose to restrict the creation or restrict the entire invoice creation itself, or you can just show the warning. You can also choose to include the sales order amount. By default, only the invoice amount will be included. You can also choose to include the sales order amount by checking this box. So once the credit limit is enabled, whenever you create a customer itself, it will show a field for credit limit. So let me show you. In addition to the display name and all the other options, so it will show an option called credit limit. Here you can enter the maximum credit limit allowed for the customer. So if I already have a receivable pending of 1 lakh rupees from this particular customer, it will not allow me to create invoices. It will say the credit limit has reached, and you need to record the payments in order to create more invoices. So this credit limit can be used for this purpose. So next up we have another question. Want to see all receivable by overdue, including item and invoice due date and with the customer name. So I think the receivable details report will help you with this. Receivable detail report will give you an overall view of all the item level associations. So let me show you. Under reports and receivables, you have the receivable details report. So this report will give you the details of your customer name, the date, the transaction type, and even the item name and the item price. So you wanted to add the due date also, right? So just click on customize column report and search for due date. You can just add it, reorder it as well, and apply. So this will give the customer date, the invoice date and the due date in a single place, along with the customer information and the item name. So I think the receivable details can help you with your requirement. Next up, we have another question. How do we automate an email to every customer with the attachment listing statement of unpaid invoices on the first of every month? So you can use schedulers for this. So under automations, we have the option of schedulers. So you can create a scheduler base and set out a frequency. So in your case, it would be monthly, and you can select the date and time and on which it has to be done. And for this, you need to write a piece of a Deluge script. So please reach out to us on support.india@zohobooks.com or on our toll-free number. So we'll be there to help you with the Deluge script. So we have a scenario here. While trying to do e-invoicing, it is not allowing nearest rupee round off downward. So if the round off is mentioned in negative, it is not allowing. So whenever you're creating any transaction, you have multiple additional charges which you can add. So as per the e-invoicing portal norms, that is as per the IRP rules, the adjustment and the shipping charge together has to be positive. So in your case, I believe there are no shipping charges and only adjustment is given, because of which the portal is not accepting the negative values. But this is a rule as per the IRP portal. So if your shipping charges along with the adjustments is positive, it will be successfully pushed. But in case of a negative value only in the adjustment, it cannot be pushed. So in those cases, you should be pushing the transactions without rounding off the values only. So we have another question. Inward remittance link and exchange difference. So I believe you would like to know about how the exchange gain or loss is handled in Zoho Books for your overseas transactions. So as I already mentioned, whenever you create a customer itself, whenever a customer is created, the currency would be asked. So you can select the currency, based on which whenever you create a transaction for the customer, the currency would be chosen by default. Now for example, let's take this particular customer. So here I can also choose the currency from here. If the customer is globally present and there are multiple currencies in which you would like to invoice, you can choose them from here as well. So here I'm just choosing a different currency. Selecting the item. So here you can see this particular value is not in INR but it's in Canadian dollars, and the exchange rate is automatically picked up based on the date of the invoice. So we automatically fetch the exchange rate from open exchange rates based on the date, and if I change the date, automatically the exchange rate will also change. You can also choose to edit them manually. Now the invoice is created and the invoice will be in Canadian dollars. However, the journal will be available in INR only. Now, when I record the payment for this particular invoice, let's assume there is a change in the exchange rate, and I record the payment. So the difference between these two exchange rates will be tracked in the exchange gain or loss account, and it will be automatically done by the system. So you can see the difference in the two exchange rates which was given in the invoice and in the payment is automatically handled by the exchange gain or loss account, and it is in debit. So this is an expense account which is in debit. So next we have another question. If I want to pass tedious receivable entry before receipt in journal, it is not allowing to select the customer. So at the moment we are allowing you to create journals. So let me quickly show you how to create a journal by associating the customer name. So go to Accountant, Manual Journals. So here when you create a journal, you can select the account and the tedious account which you want. And here you can select your contact, the required customer, and create the entries. So next we have another question. How can a payment transaction be reconciled with 3 tax invoices? Yes, you can very well do it. So if you have received a single payment for multiple invoices at once, instead of recording them individually for each invoices, just go to payment received, click on new and select the particular customer. Now all the invoices which are due for this customer will be listed, and you can choose to record the payment at once. You can also do this directly from the banking module if you are reconciling it from there. So for the same customer, if you have received multiple transactions, you can just simply click on the entry, categorize it as a customer payment, select the customer, and all the invoices relevant to the particular customer will be listed. You can choose to categorize them in a single go from your banking module as well. So we have another question. How to calculate total profit on a project while creating a quote instead of each line item profit? So the project profitability will give you an overview of what the project revenue looks like. But again, the project profitability is calculated based on your invoices, bills and expenses only. So you can just check out these reports to view the cost, revenue or the performance summary, or you can simply dive to the particular project. So here you will have a profitability summary. You can click on this and view the profitability report directly. So this will account all of your invoices, credit notes, debit notes, your purchase bills, expenses and your vendor credits, but it will not be based on the quotes. So taking up the last question for the session, we park the payment to customer's ledger. Now we want to adjust the invoice. So as I discussed already, in Zoho Books, we do not have the concept of creating accounts individually for each of your customers. Instead, we track them cumulatively under the accounts receivable account only. So here in the accounts receivable account, you will be able to view all the transactions relevant to your customers. So in your case, instead of recording it against a particular account, if you have received an advance, just go to sales, payments received and create a new payment and customer advance. Select the particular customer and you can record the advance, which will be displayed as unused credits for the particular customer. So here you can see whatever is the advance payment I have received will be displayed as unused credits. You can simply apply this to invoices. So thank you so much for being patient with us and with a lot of intriguing questions. So with this, we have come to the end of the session. If you have any further clarifications, please feel free to reach us out to support.india@zohobooks.com, or you can also reach us on our toll-free number 1-800-572-6671. And we have a multilingual support which are available across different 6 languages: English, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam and Kannada. So you can choose the required digit and get connected to the required language support. Once again, thank you all for joining the session and being such a lively audience. Looking forward to meet you all in another session. Thank you.